Hi. Hello, everyone. This is Engineer on the Real. Good day to everyone, especially to future CE takers. Well, it's indeed a very good day to us because, as we know, just yesterday all our troubles seem to have gone far away. Di ba? Alam natin that the PRC made the resolution in updating the allowed calculator in CE licensure exam. Now, and the list are these. Though our all-time favorite calculator, which is the 570 Plus, is wala na talaga, but okay lang. Kasi there are some among here that have similar functions to the 570 or the 991 ES Plus or ES Plus models. And these are the Canon 589S GA, ito. And the other one is the Olympia ES 570 ES Plus. So, ganun. Ito yun sila. No? And for me, I like this one more than the others. No? So, if pwede, look for it, buy it. No? Kasi sobrang similar talaga sila. Though ito din, pero for me, parang mas madali itong hanapin than this one. Okay? Anyway, in this video, we will be discussing how to solve for the missing length and bearing of a closed traverse. And that is using a shortcut way. I call this as the on-the-rails complex method. This is actually the part one because the part two is all about how to calculate the area of the closed traverse without using the conventional ways, which are the DMD and the DPD methods, diba, as discussed in the undergrad. But again, part one muna tayo. Because of PRC's update on the list of the calculator, sobrang happy ng mga future C takers kasi nga ShipSolve is back, di ba? Well, sino ba namang hindi matutuwa, no? Pero you know what? Hindi lang ang ShipSolve yung bumalik. Ang iba din bumalik. Sana all. What I mean is, eto sila, no? Kompleto na again, no? Merong complex, merong stat, um, meron ng base, equation, table, matrix, and vector. Similar talaga sa 570 ES Plus. No? But ngayon, our focus will be using the complex mode. So prepare yourselves not to watch and learn. But before I'll start discussing some problems, make sure to hit subscribe button. No? Make sure to subscribe my channel and click the notification bell button so that you'll be notified sa mga future videos ko. Okay, so let's start na. So let's say we are to solve for the length and bearing of this given closed traverse. Yeah, closed traverse has the following data. As you can see, the question is, what is the length and bearing of course 3-4? Well, medyo mag-review muna tayo. Now, ano ba yung closed traverse? Closed traverse is an area, di ba, bounded by these boundaries, no? Straight lines at meron silang mga dimensions. Okay, let's say ito yung mga corner points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Ito yung course 1-2, course 2-3, 3-4, course 4-5, 5-6, and 6-1. And of course, in the technical description, merong length and bearing yan, no? So, ito yun, mga lengths. And the bearings are based on either north or south. And depending yan sa direction ng rotation mo. So, since this is clockwise, then the bearing nito is northeast. This as well, northeast, no? But ito, since this is now downward, no? So this should be southeast. Ito naman, since this is now to the left, so southwest, then ito, northwest. So these are the corresponding bearings. Okay? Now, etong projection sa north and south direction of a course is the latitude. No? And the projection naman along the east-west direction is called as the departure. So these are the latitude of course 1-2, the departure of course 1-2. And if we're to calculate them, the latitudes and departures, we know them already, diba? The latitude is equal to the length and cosine of the bearing, no? And the departure is equal to the length and sine of the bearing. So as you can see, positive ito because the direction of this is northeast. So positive both yan. Ito as well, positive both. But ito, since this is now downward or that is south, so dapat negative yung latitude. Then this as well, negative yung latitude, positive naman ulit dito. While for the departure, positive towards east, no, and negative naman towards west. Ganun yan. So, ito yun, no? Plus or minus the length times cosine of the bearing, and use positive if that is due north, and negative if south, and departure naman, positive negative, L sine of beta, positive if east, and negative if west. Note the reason why it's cosine of the angle beta because that latitude is the adjacent side of this right triangle, while this is sine, no, because this is the opposite of that angle beta of the right triangle. Now, a principle in this closed universe is if we are to add the latitudes of these courses, the sum must be 0. Okay? And so as the sum of the departures, no? For that to be a closed universe. Kasi if ever hindi siya magiging 0, then that is not closed. No, like it has to be corrected pa, no? But again, principle in a closed universe is summation of latitude is 0, and so as the summation of departure equal to 0. Now, this is how to solve this. The conventional way muna tayo. If you could remember, we have to list all the latitudes and departures. So, ito yung latitude and departures. So, 58.7 cosine of this angle. Ito naman, sine. Both are positive because northeast. Well, ito, negative na ito because this is south, right? While positive ito because this is still east. And let's leave them as blank. No? Leave muna natin ito as blank. Well, ito, 35, negative 35 because that is south. And positive 35 sine 5.3 because that is east. And dito naman, since southwest na ito, both must be negative. So, ito sila. Medyo bininisan ko na lang. Now, if we are to evaluate this, then these are the equivalent values nila. Ito. Okay? So, for these unknowns, I'm gonna let their respective latitudes and departures equal to x and y respectively. No? So, ganun yan. Now, applying the principle that is summation of latitude equal to 0 and also summation of departure equal to 0 for that to be a closed universe, then i-add natin positive 57.933 minus 0.748 plus x minus 34.85 minus 24.308 equal to 0. We can get x equal to 1.973. While focusing here naman, adding this and equating that to 0, that is positive 9.456 plus 27.29 plus y plus 0.3233 minus 75.125, and that is equal to 0. And we can get this, no? Y is 35.146. Well, x is 1.973. It's positive, and since it's positive, north yan. Now, if naging negative pa sana yan, then south dapat yan, no? And also, if naging negative pa sana to, then west dapat yan, no? But since these are all positive, then the direction of that closure line, the course 3-4, must be northeast. So, ganito yan, no? First, let's draw the ito, north, 1.973, and towards east, it's 35.146. That means 0.3 is here and 0.4 is here. Ganun dapat yan, no? 0.3, 0.4. Connecting them, this is the length of the course. And of course, as you can see, this forms a right triangle. So solving for L, gagamitan natin ng Pythagorean theorem, and that is square root of 1.973 squared plus 35.146 squared. No? And evaluating that, we can get 35.201. So that means that's the length of course 3-4. Well, if we're to calculate the bearing niya must be dito, no? Relative to the north dapat yan, since this is northeast, no? So expect to have a northeast direction in that bearing. And to get this, as we know, based on trigonometry, the tangent of this bearing beta of 3-4 is equal to this opposite side over this adjacent side. Now, tangent is 35 is equal to 35.146 over 1.973. So solving for beta, it's arctangent of that ratio. Arctangent of 35.146 over 1.973. So evaluating that, we can get 86.787 degrees. That means its bearing, exact bearing, together with the direction, is north 86.787 degrees east. No? So that is the conventional way. Okay? And to be honest, it's medyo mahaba. No? Like you have to write everything pa and you have to make them correct. No? But there's a shortcut way in doing this. Since pwede na yung complex, again, sa board exam, no? If you'll use the canon kanina na mention ko. So there's a way to solve that. Well, ganito yan. I want you to go to complex, no? Go to complex. Well, in my video, I'll be using the 911 ES plus emulator lang. No? In a way, they are just the same lang man. No? Similar in function. No, though different in the image. Pero ang importante is yung function. So I want you to go to complex. So there is still mode 2 in that Canon calculator. Now, ngayon, I'm gonna discuss muna the sign conventions. Ganito yan. So, if the direction of the course is northeast, no, input mo lang ito. There is length, angle, the bearing, no? Length, angle, the bearing. For example, what is northeast dito? Ito, northeast ito. So, if I'm gonna evaluate that, 58.7 angle, 9.27 degrees. So, as you can see, it will give you both, no? The real part and imaginary part positive. Okay? And if pwede, you are to fix the number of decimal places dito. No? That is by pressing shift, then setup or mode, then look for fix 6 and 3. Siguro there's a different way in doing that using the Canon calculator. Pero better, no? I-fix mo siya to 3. So, maging ano na siya, simplified na siya, di ba? Makikita mo ito, 57.93 plus 9.456i. So, ito yung latitude, ito yung departure, as you can see, no? So, ito yun. I stored it to A. I'm gonna store that to A. So, store shift RCLA. Okay? Now, after that, if ever naman southwest, take note, southwest is just a reflection of what is from the northeast, no? Diba? Northeast is positive, positive. So southwest must be negative, negative. No, negative yung real and imaginary part. So all you have to do is to place a negative sign before you input that L angle beta. So ito yun, a negative of the quantity of L angle beta. So let's try this one. Ano yung southwest ito? Ito, no, this course 5-1. No, so negative of 78.96, and that is angle 72.07 degrees, and I'm gonna store this to D. Okay, no, to E na lang, to E. Okay, so I stored it already to E because later I'll be storing this to B, na the complex that corresponds to this. Ito naman, I reserved that for C. Ito naman for D, at ito naman for E. So ito yun, no? So I got negative 24.308. Both are negative. No? So tama nga, no? So both are negative. Ito. Now, if northwest naman, ang gagawin natin is we're gonna make the angle negative. So positive yung length, but angle negative. Well, Ganito kasi yan. Now remember that for complex number with Argand diagram na merong imaginary part, imaginary axis upward, no? The angle is always based sa real axis, no? And if the angle is measured clockwise, magiging ano siya, magiging negative. If counterclockwise naman, magiging positive. Pero dito, since we are making this as positive, no, assuming that clockwise is positive, so dapat the counterclockwise is negative, no? So that's why it's negative beta. Now let's try. Is there a south northwest dito? Wala. Pero ganito yan. No, mag-try ako. Let's say 100 angle and negative 30, no? So making this negative 30 will give me a result for sure equal to ano? Ilan ba dapat? 50 square root of 3 minus 50i. Okay? Ganun yan. Yes, tama nga. No, minus 50i. Positive ito real part because that corresponds to the latitude, and latitude is positive because north. Negative to because that corresponds to the departure, and departure is towards west, and that's why it's negative. No? So, let's proceed. Now, for the southeast naman, similar dito, when I took the complex for the southwest, it's just the negative of this. So dito, in-negative mo lang ito. So that means the negative of the quantity of this. Ganun yan. So for this, since southeast ito, gagawin ko yung negative of 27.3 angle, and negative as well, negative of 88.43 degrees. Okay? So, pwede, you may not include a degree symbol anymore, no? As long as naka-degree ito. Okay? Ganun yan. So, anong gagawin dito? I-store ko ito. Store. Shift store B. Store ko siya sa B. Okay? So, it's 0.748 plus 27.290. So, that means its latitude is negative 0.748. Its departure is this. Okay? For this course, 2-3. And for dash 5, it's still southeast. So it's negative of the quantity of 35 angle and negative of 5.3 degrees or 5.30 degrees. And I'm going to store this to D. Okay? So it's 34.85. So remember, I stored this to A, ito naman to B, ito naman to D, ito naman to E, no? So i-remove ko ito because wala talaga yan, no? And i-rearrange ko ito sila. So arrange na, ito yung A, ito yung B, that corresponds to course 2-3. Ito yung D, corresponds to 4-5. Ito yung sa 5-1. Okay, now, ito yung mga stored complex ko. A, B, wala pa yung C, D, and E, no? And as what I got, A is 57.933 plus 9.456 I. B is this. C is wala pa. D is this. And E is negative 24.308. Now, let's say the complex of that C is X plus YI. Diba? Ito yung real part corresponds to the latitude, and etong imaginary part naman corresponds to the departure. No? So, if we're to add them, if we're to add these complex numbers, then dapat the result is 0 plus 0i or simply 0. No? A plus B plus C plus D plus E must be equal to 0. So, ibig sabihin yan, if you want to solve for C, because that is the unknown, right? C is equal to negative A minus B minus D minus E. So, I transpose them to the other side. No? So, if I'm gonna evaluate that here, i-recall ko muna if they are indeed placed dito. So, B, D, and E. Okay, good. So, I've stored them already. So, negative A minus B minus D, wala pang C, minus E. At eto dapat yung complex for C. No? I'm gonna store this to C. So, shift RCL or store to C. So ito na. That means the latitude X must be equal to 1.973 and the departure must be 35.147. So ganun yan. Okay? Now, if I'm gonna calculate for the length, no, of that course, the length is simply the absolute value of the C. Because ganito yan eh. For a complex number, imaginary, real part, then imaginary. So they are the legs of the right triangle, of which the hypotenuse is called as the absolute, no? The absolute value or the magnitude. So abs of C will give me for sure the length 35. Remember kanina I got 35.201. Here it's 35.202. It's close enough, no? As you can see, hindi na ako nagsulat ng mga latitude, hindi na ako nagsulat ng departure. I just stored them right away, no? In complex. So madali lang talaga. Now, knowing that both are positive, that means northeast siya, no? So take note, no? This beta is called, this angle beta, if that is the polar form of the complex number, that is called as the argument of the complex number. And to evaluate the argument of complex number, that can be found by pressing shift, then this two, and that means complex, then this one. No? So if I'm going to evaluate argument of C, this will give me the angle, no, the angle niya that makes with the north direction. No? And that is, of course, the bearing. That's what we got kanina, 86.787 degrees. No? So that means the bearing is north, 86.787 degrees east. So ganun yan. So these are the shortcuts. No? And also, if the problems are, let's say, the direction is southwest, kasi ititignan mo talaga ano yung direction niya, ano yung mga sign nito. If both are negative, suppose lang, let's say yung unknown dito ay etong 5-1 and this 3-4 is given, so that yung mga kuha nating complex for this, which is D, no, are both negative, no? So if we wanna, let's say ito ha, baliktarin natin na, we took E by doing negative A minus B minus C minus D, and ito yun, no? Ito yung E, no? So i-store natin yan. After that, after ma-store, we wanna calculate the length now. Of course, the length is still the absolute of that, no? But its bearing can be solved by taking the argument pa rin, shift arg, shift 2 pala, then arg, and eto, dapat i-negative mo yung E. Bakit? Kasi ganito yan, no? As you can see, its direction is southwest. No? So, i-reflect mo yan to the other side. No? Magsulat ako eh. Parang ganito eh. Okay, sorry for that. Erase. Kasi the direction is this. No? It's southwest. So, ang gagawin is i-reflect mo yan the other side. No? And upon reflecting that on the other side, ganito yan. If this is E, if that is E, then eto, ang reflection niya at the other side is negative E. No? And the argument of negative E is this bearing. That's why I made that arg of negative E. Ganun yan. No? And if I'm gonna solve for the, anyway, if wala pala yan, let's say, hindi ako mag-negative, for sure, that will give me the angle na ito. Kana siya. Okay? And that's for sure an angle ranging from negative 90 and negative 180. Now, if I'll try, siguro mga ano yan, i-approximate ko ba yung 107.93, no? Negative 107. See? So, meron yan, no? Kasi naging clockwise direction niya relative sa north, no? Counterclockwise. So, that's why it's negative. If mag-calculate naman ako sa bearing, let's say, ito yung unknown, using argument of B, for sure it will give me an angle which is negative. Sorry. southeast pala ito, southeast. So ito pala yun, no? If southeast. So since ganun yan, then its angle is still based from the north, but it exceeds 90 degrees. And that's why this is 91.57, no? It exceeds 90 degrees. So if you want to get the exact bearing, well, subtract this from 180 kasi ito yung bearing niya eh. Since south na yan, no? It must be based from the south, right? Or another way to evaluate that is i-negative mo ito. That means i-reflect mo yan at the other side, but expect that the result will be negative kasi nasa west na yan, no? So, ganun, negative 88.43. So, don't mind the negative. Now, that 88.43 is its bearing, no? And south yung direction. So, ganun siya. Okay? If ever man meron tayong problem na ay kanang complex na northwest, so argument of that complex will give you a negative result. So, ang result niyan is already the bearing niya relative sa north. So, that's it. That's the shortcut way, the complex, ONDEREAL complex method. Okay? Now, ito pala yung drawing niya, no? At ito yung course na kinalculate natin, no? This one is medyo parang ano na, horizontal due east. It's because 88 degrees is about 90 degrees na. That's why. Ito din, no? We get an angle of 86 something, right? No? That's why it's almost due east na. No? So ito, 86.787 degrees pala. Ito yung answer kanina. Now, let's have this example. I want you to take a pause in this, and try solving this by your own, applying what you learned from a discussion. And after that, watch the video all the way, then compare natin yung mga sagot natin. So, actually, this is a passport exam. A school lot has the following dimensions. The missing course is 2-3. It has no distance and bearing. So the question is, what is the length and bearing of that course 2-3? So I'm gonna solve that. So complex again. Gusto ko i-delete ko muna yung mga na-store ko. So mode 2. So let's start dito. This is northwest. And again, if northwest, if you could remember, i-negative ko yung angle. Negative 57 degrees and 39 minutes. So I'm gonna store that to A. Okay. Now, next, this is southeast. And remember, if southeast, negative angle, negative. Negative of the land, 62.1, angle, negative again, 44 degrees and 45 minutes. Okay? So, I'm gonna store that to C. Okay, i-reserve ko yung B. Sobra yung parenthesis. I-reserve ko yung B for 2-3. And lastly, ito, northeast lang yan. So simply, 300 angle, 31 degrees and 16 minutes. So I'm gonna store that to D. Okay? And again, the principle, if B, ito, A, B, C, D, then their sum must be 0. So if I'm gonna solve for B, it must be negative of A minus C minus D. Okay? So shift RCL B. Ito yung complex for course 2-3. Its latitude is negative 289.99, or there is about 290, and its departure, i-fix ko again. Its departure is negative 76.795. Both are negative. That means the direction of the closure line is what? Southwest. Southwest. So if I'm gonna calculate for its length, again, it's just absolute of B. So it's about 300. So that'd be the answer. The length of, or the distance of that course 2-3 is 299.995 or about 300, and its bearing can be solved using argument shift to 1 and in negative ko ito. Why? Kasi again, this is southwest, no? I-reflect ko siya again sa northeast. So by making it negative B. So that will give me this angle. And that is 14.832 degrees. So its bearing is actually 14 degrees, 49 minutes, 55.85 seconds north, southwest. So southwest siya. Okay? So ito yun. Oh. So ito yung 1 dash, wait sa. Ito yung 1 dash 2. No? Am I correct? Northwest. Ito pala, 1 dash 2. No? Ito 2 dash 3. 3 pala ito. Ito yung 3 dash 4 and 4 dash 1. So 1 dash 2, 145.16 northwest. Ito yung unknown, 2 dash 3. And that's why it's southwest, right? And southeast, the northeast. So that's it. As easy as that. Well, in part 2, I'll be solving the area of a closed traverse in just a few minutes. No, there's a shortcut way instead of using the conventional way, which are DMD and DPD method. No, and I call this as the on the reels I over 2 rule. Okay, so as you can see, parang kita yun na yung hint, no? Yan yung formula. But check it out na lang sa part 2. Okay? So thank you for watching this video. So I hope may na-learn kayo, and I encourage you to apply this to some board exam, past board exam problems, no? And look for problems about this and apply this. No, this is really really good. Okay? And later or um, after nito, watch kayo sa second part, no? So thank you. Again, this is Francisco R. On the Real, no, of On the Real Engineering Solutions. I'm also working as review instructor in Glisanya Engineering Review and Training Center. And by the way, we have an online review pala. No? So if you wanna take our review class, online review class, I want you to click that um, yung nilagay ko dyan, no? To know how to enroll, no? And also to know the rules of our review. Again, thank you for listening and see you next time. Goodbye and God bless.